Assassin's Creed is Ubisoft's most known franchise to date, but what would happen to the series if Assassin's Creed Empire received a mixed response? Hey guys, Brett here connecting from UbiCentral, and today we're going to be talking about that very topic. Now before we get started, I have to clarify, I honestly think this game has a chance to be one of the best in the franchise. But what if it wasn't? What if Assassin's Creed Empire was met with a mixed reception from both fans and critics alike? Well, the short answer is there would definitely be less of these games being released. We're already starting to see that now with Ubisoft taking a break in 2016. But would another mixed reception game destroy the fan base entirely? For most people watching this right now, Assassin's Creed Empire may be the last chance you're giving the series, which is totally justified, especially if you've been playing since AC1 and you're just growing tired of the franchise and want something unique and fresh like AC4. So I think it's safe to assume if the game has a generic story like AC Unity, a lot of people will be done with the franchise, including myself probably, because the story is such a huge part of the game. Thankfully, if the game is actually set in ancient Egypt, Ubisoft have a lot of freedom to make that story unique because not a lot of games have visited that time or setting. Now let's say the overall mechanics and missions aren't anything unique, but the story is really good. For example, we could use Assassin's Creed Brotherhood or Assassin's Creed Revelations. I personally think a lot of players will end up sticking around for another game. I mean, we kinda saw this with Brotherhood and Revelations. The mechanics in those games were basically AC2 with little bits of improvement here and there. But players mainly kept coming back because Ezio was such a good character. If Empire gives us a character like Ezio, or even Edward, I feel like people would give the next installment another chance because the story is such a huge part for many fans. Also, since Ubisoft isn't going back to yearly releases for quite some time, this means they can actually improve on those mechanics for a sequel since they'll have at least 2 years of development time. So again, think Brotherhood or Revelations, but Ubisoft having another year of development time. That's why I feel like more people would give the sequel to Empire a chance if the gameplay just ended up being average and the story was amazing. But if it's the other way around, they'll most likely lose a lot more of the fan base. Now, what if Empire was met with a mixed response and the game ends up selling just as bad as Syndicate? I personally feel like Ubisoft would definitely try and make one last game still, possibly crossing over with Prince of Persia to hopefully draw some interest back in. But if that game is also met with a mixed reception, then the franchise would probably stop making games and go to coloring books instead because that's where the money's at. No, but seriously, if the next 2 games are met with mixed reception, Ubisoft will probably put the franchise on hold and move on to something else. Kinda like when Prince of Persia started selling bad, they just started this new and fresh series, which at the time was Assassin's Creed, so they focused on that. And what's sad about that is it could actually happen again. According to the head of content on Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft may potentially be working on a pirate game, which would obviously use some of the Black Flag mechanics. It's very possible if that game sells very well and AC starts going downhill, that will be their new main focus. But yeah, I thought this was an interesting topic and I wanted to hear your opinions on it as well. Would you give the sequel to Empire a chance if it had an amazing story and just okay mechanics? Would you give it a chance if the gameplay was amazing but the story was something we've seen before? What if the whole game was just average? Basically, let me know what would make you give up on the series. I want to make this a discussion in the comments, so definitely let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.